Cascade Hoops Talk, Billy D here. Hey, if you're an NAI basketball fan, and obviously you are if you're listening to this show, I want to tell you some of the things Cascade Hoops Talk offers. Obviously, you can get the podcast anywhere podcasts are available, Cascade Hoops Talk. Go to Twitter at Cascade Hoop Talk. Also, go to Facebook at Cascade Hoops Talk. You can also get all the interviews on YouTube at Cascade Hoops Talk. And the YouTube platform, please subscribe. Having that platform and the shows over there gives us some more flexibility down the road if there's other things we'd like to do. Also, and this is very important, go to CascadeHoopsTalk.com, CascadeHoopsTalk.com. And once the season starts, every morning you can open that up and you can get all the game stories and NAI basketball news from the night before. It's tabbed by conference and top 25. So if you're just interested in, say, your conference and the top 25, click those tabs, see who won, what the stories were, and that's available to you every day. Also, there's a place on the web page where you can sign up for the newsletter, and you don't have to sign in. It comes directly to your email. So here at Cascade Hoops Talk, we're here to be your NAI men's basketball news source. And please go to our Twitter and let me know if there's anything else you would like to see or something different or something you'd like to see improved. I love hearing from you. Thanks. I hope you enjoy today's show. Cascade Hoops Talk, Billy D. Join us on Twitter, Cascade Hoop Talk. Join us on Facebook, Cascade Hoops Talk. Also, go to our YouTube channel, Cascade Hoops Talk. Hey, today we have Coach Patrick Crarey II, head coach at Washington Adventist. This Washington native, he was an all-around athlete at Tacoma Academy. He excelled in golf, baseball, basketball, and he was named the Male Athlete of the Year at Tacoma Academy in the year 2001. Coach Crarey then played for the Golden Eagles of La Sierra University in Riverside, California. And following his playing days, Coach Crarey remained at La Sierra, became an assistant men's basketball coach. Coach Crarey has been the head basketball coach at Washington Adventist since 2001. And one note is, and we'll talk to Coach about this in some detail, but last season the Shock went 23-9, and they shocked two NCAA Division I opponents, Howard University and Delaware State, both close games, and look forward to talking to Coach Crarey about that. Welcome, Coach Crarey. I appreciate you being on the show.
Thank you. Really happy to be here. Excited about a new year.
You know, Coach Crarey, most people probably don't know that you're also the athletic director there at Washington Adventist. You were recently named the Association of Independents Athletic Director of the Year. You know, congratulations. That's a terrific honor. I know that is some big shoes to fill. Can you talk about filling both roles there at Washington Adventist?
Well, it's a blessing, but at the same time, it's very difficult. Time management is key on every move that I make. But I just love the impact that I can have with all the student athletes. Like, I just don't have, 15 players. I have 140 athletes that I'm able to be actively involved with, all the time. Like, I'm their AD, but they come and say, Coach Pat, what's up? How you doing? We'll talk about anything from, tennis shoes to what's on reality TV. But just establishing those relationships with all the different sports, different backgrounds, demographics, it's just fun. I mean, it's something I love to do, and I love being the liaison from the administration of our school down to a large cohort of our students.
So what's the toughest thing you do? I had a friend of mine was athletic director at a school for a while, and he would gripe about, having to find referees, getting the volleyball nets down. Are you responsible for all that stuff?
I'm responsible for a lot. I would say the toughest thing as an AD is I'm trying to service everybody and telling your coaches no.
Okay.
I love my coaches. I love them. They work hard. And I love when they give me proposals to push their programs higher. So anytime I would have to say no, it's probably the hardest thing for me. But if you're in charge of stuff, you're gonna have to say no quite
Absolutely,
a bit.
Yeah.
And so that's probably the hardest part. Everything else to me is everyday nature now. Whether it's turning the lights on the field, I might be sweeping something on the floor one day. It just depends. We're as is business at Washington Adventist. If it needs to be done right there, anybody that can do it gets up and gets it done. So I love that part of it, but it also makes it a little tough some days.
Yeah, but that's the only way to do it. Everybody can sweep the floor.
Yeah.
Coach Crarey, last season the Shock go 23-9, but your season will best be remembered for those two monster victories, both close games over NCAA Division I opponents, Howard University, and then you also went to Delaware State and knocked those guys off. Can you talk about those games, what it meant to you as a coach, what it meant to your program?
It meant so much to our players. Our players worked really hard, and we have a great sense of pride and tradition in the program. And I've been there. This is my 11th year I'm going into. So I'm constantly telling my current team about past teams, good and bad, and things that they've done and how they're being remembered. And we really challenged that team last year with how do you want to be remembered? And so we, at that point in time, had never beat a Division I opponent, and we'd been very close. I think we had 7 games, less than 6 points.
Wow.
Had Howard on the ropes years ago. Had Hampton, lost to them at the buzzer 2 years before. So we were right there. We just couldn't get it done. And last year that first game was a great game because nobody thought we had a chance. And our best player didn't even play last year. Terrence Mayimba. He was a returning All-American last year, and he ended up staying in France, and we didn't find out until well into the school year that he wasn't coming back. So expectations for our team, weren't that high outside the building. In the building, we thought we were good, but we knew how we had to play. Xavier was fantastic, and I was just so proud of our sophomores. We had a big group of freshmen the year before they came in and played well. But I was just happy for our guys to get it done. It was a relief for me. I won't even lie to you. Having those games, I really wanted to win them. And it was a relief to finally win them and then seal the deal at the end of the games. Because, those Division I guarantee games at the end, you got to win them. They're not going to give it to you. Nobody in the building is going to give it to you, if you know what I'm saying. So you got to go out there and you got to win it. And so, for us to do it the first time was big. I think the second time it just solidified us because we wanted to make sure everybody knew it wasn't a fluke. And so that second win was kind of a stamp win, and it was typical of who we were. We were down most of the game, hung out, and and just found a way to win at the end of the game. But it meant a lot to our program, a lot to our players. My assistant coaches that worked so hard. I'm so grateful for them, and just the notoriety of our program, not just in the DC area, but just on a national scale.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Every program in the NAI was proud of what you accomplished. There's a lot of proud programs in the NAI, and what you were able to accomplish, spoke highly for the close to 200 programs across the country. So they were big wins. So last season you made it to the national tournament. You had actually a very good year. You were a well-respected team. At the tournament, you were able to play at least, but you played that last game on Wednesday night. Well, it was late too. And you lost an absolute slugfest to Antelope Valley. Can you just talk a little bit about that game? It seemed like such a disappointment for your program.
Yeah, it was. That's the beauty of the journey. I think the beauty of the struggle. You can have those highs. I never had a team this high in the regular season and then this low in the postseason. Usually it's the other way around, where we're high in the postseason and might have some struggles in the regular season. And for us, Xavier was our horse all year. He averaged over 20 points. He led us in every statistical category, from rebounds, points, blocks, steals, assists. He was our guy. And so when he went down in the first half, they were an excellent team. They had a great scheme against us, and then he went down with that injury in the first half, and we were out of sync. They took advantage inside. They dominated us inside during the game. I thought we could have been tougher there. But I thought just without Xavier, all year we had spurts without him and played in spurts without him. But in the big games, we needed him. And it really showed there. And I felt so bad for him. He was dying to go back in the game, begging me to go back in the game. And I just told him, you have a lot of basketball ahead of you, and you're not going to end your career here in South Dakota. Hopefully your career will end one day, in Spain or in the United States or somewhere else where your banner's being hung, but it's not going to end here today. So it was a tough thing at the time, but for my relationship with him, and it showed our younger players as well, like no matter how bad we want to win or we want to be successful, your health and who you are as a person comes first above basketball. And so I thought our younger players were able to see that as well, and to see that, we cared for him and his well-being, above putting ourselves in position at that point in time to win the game. But I thought Antelope Valley was very well coached. I thought they were an exceptional team. I thought they were going to have a great, second round game with Marion. I was going to go back. I'm a basketball junkie, so we lost, and I was there the next. I was going to be there the next day, but we had to leave. I was there earlier the whole day before. I just go to the NAIA tournament and just watch 8 games a day and just sit there and conversate and just learn about the game, because I feel like I have so much more to learn. But it was a great experience for us, but definitely humbling and something that will give us a little bit of juice going into this year.
Coach, you have those 3 seniors off that team. You talked about Xavier Sewell, All-American. You mentioned 20 points, but also 7 rebounds. He shot over 40% from 3. You're really going to miss him. But also, Ishmael Raymond and Elijah Maynard, those big 3, they really played some great basketball for your program.
Yeah, Ish was the best communicator I've ever been around, coach or player. The best communicator. I mean, he was always screaming, yelling. And when people would play us, the one thing they would say about us and our team was that our energy and our communication was contagious. And a lot of times that communication can take up for some talent deficiency. Just the communication and getting to that spot quicker, or defensive rotation, or energizing your teammates just helps put you up a notch. And Ish did that better than anybody we've ever had. I mean, he talked on defense like prime Kevin Garnett. I mean, he was loud and he was often, and he made us a better team every single day. And Elijah Maynard, I mean, his freshman year was our 2017 team, which won the conference and went to a national tournament. He'd been to 3 national tournaments. He's just a veteran, steady player. He got to be a good defender, a good shooter. He was my kid. Every year we got a couple kids, and I say, well, that's Elijah was my guy last year, him and Xavier. I mean, it's just, going to miss them a lot. I'm looking forward to Eli, though. He's going to come back and be an assistant this year as he finishes his diploma. So hopefully we know he's going to bring a lot of value to the program.
Oh, so he's going to be like graduate assistant this year?
Yes.
Oh, that's terrific. Coach, I want to talk to you about this year's team, but before we do, you were an all-around athlete. You grew up in the Washington area. You're all-around athlete at Tacoma Academy, male athlete of the year. Can you talk about your experience as an athlete growing up? I know you were multi-sport, and what was it in your background that drove you to want to become a coach?
I would say, just going back and background, my dad always had me in a lot of stuff. Like, I'm a golf, fanatic now, but my dad had us in golf back then. Baseball. I was actually a better baseball player than I was a basketball player. I was definitely a really good baseball player, and that Tacoma Academy year was a special year. I shouldn't have won Athlete of the Year though, man. My basketball teammate should have won, and he ended up going, Division I, being on that Final Four George Mason team. He was the best athlete in the school. I was just probably the most, diverse in terms of doing a lot of different sports and being pretty good at all of them. Mm-hmm. And we joke about that to this day. He's one of my best friends, and he's just like, I'm like, my bad, bro. You should have gotten that one. But California, so I'm a Seventh-day Adventist. I grew up in the church, and so for us, when you're coming out, you can't play on Friday night to Saturday night, and so my parents gave me some limited options on where I could go to college, and my father went to college in California last year. I always wanted to go to California. My best friend was there. It was an opportunity to play, and my best friend, Brian Wright, was there. He's actually now the general manager of the San Antonio Spurs. Wow. And we were roommates, and so we went to college together, played together. We had known each other since basketball camp. We were like 9 years old, but he was a big influence on me continuing to go out there, because I kind of pressured him. He was a year ahead of me. So I told him, like, just go, and I'll be there a year later. And enjoyed California, had a great time. And I got into coaching. My dad's a physician. My grandfather was a physician. I thought I was going to be a physician until I took physics, and I realized I wasn't going to be a physician anymore. But my sophomore year I was playing, and there was an opportunity to coach an AAU team. One of the girls players, she said, she had an opportunity for an AAU team. They were looking for coaches, volunteer. At that time, I was always like the brainiac, smart guy telling the coach this or that, kind of just knowing, being on top of things. And so I wanted to do it. So I started coaching 9-year-olds and travel basketball. They were shooting on the wrong basket. It was crazy. But we were having a great time, and I ended up moving up to 9 to 11, 12. Next thing I know, I was the 1700 head coach. There's Up Tempo Basketball Academy in Corona, California. And that's where I just kind of took my start, and we started winning, and I loved it. And that's how I got in coaching. I tell everybody all the time, I coached for 7 years and made $1,100. And so like when guys tell me, I don't know about this opportunity. I just, I think I gotta help. I gotta pay for this. If you don't want to do this, then don't do this.
Right.
But if you want to do this, you're gonna do it for nothing, and then your work ethic and then God's grace will hopefully put you in the position where, eventually you can get paid for doing this. But for the first 5, 6, 7 years of doing this, I never even thought I was going to be in a salary position. I just loved it. And so that's how I got started coaching.
You just couldn't believe somebody was actually letting you coach, right?
Yeah, they're like, you're going to let me do this? And then, just like anything else, you do something, and then I realized, because I fully believe this, and I think there's, like everything else, there's hard work, but there's also some people that are just talented, and whether it's basketball, I think there's coaching talent. And I firmly believe, because I study coaches, I think some coaches just have a talent level, at it level, that they're able to grasp things quicker, work with different situations. I see so many of them on the NAIA level. And, to me, if you have that talent, you got to put the work ethic in to see, how much you can get out of it.
So you had so many wonderful experiences, both at Tacoma Academy, out there at La Sierra, being able to work with youth basketball while you were at La Sierra. Who were some of your mentors that really have shaped you into the coach you are today?
That's anytime I get asked a mentor question, I have to be candid and quite honest, because and some people don't even, for lack of better words, believe me, but my college coach was a mentor with me. He was excellent with X's and O's. Okay. When I say excellent, we did the triangle offense, Princeton offense, 5-out offense. I mean, in the 4 or 5 years I had with him, I learned so much just in terms of being able to break down teams. Let me tell you how far ahead of his time he was. This is 2005. And I had given him, a situation. I said, Coach, you can pick 1 through 5. How tall a player is, what kind of player is. You just completely can do whatever you want to a player, and you make them 5 players, have a starting 5. What do you want? He said, I want 5 players between 6'3" and 6'9", and everybody can dribble, pass, and shoot. And this is way before the era of, playing in space that we're playing in now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm back then, I'm like, what? You give me a Shaq, a Tim Duncan. I'm just trying to get the best player for each position.
Yeah.
And at that time, what am I, 25 maybe, I think, 23, 24. And he is just so ahead of the curve. And so he was definitely a big mentor for me. But a lot of the stuff, and honestly, I'm going to tell you this, a lot of the stuff that I've done was basically just through my own, hard work and determination, and at the same time learning from my own mistakes. And that's the one thing I've had the blessing from being at Washington Adventist for so long. I've been able to learn from things that I did not do well early on, and really focus in on what they are, focus in on what my weaknesses are, so I can grow and become the best coach that I can be. Because I think a lot of times as coaches, we always talk about our players' weaknesses or lack thereof, but as coaches, we have weaknesses. And so looking at the weaknesses that I had and, working on that from an analytical perspective all the way to player relationships and development, that really has helped me kind of get over the hump as time keeps going. But like everything else, it's a constant evolution over time.
Coach, you and I didn't talk about this before, but at your gym there in Washington Adventist, you've got that big open stage at one end. Do you think that gives you a home court advantage? Is it tough for people to score at that end, do you think? It's an unusual look.
It's an unusual look, and we have fans there.
Oh, okay.
And it's crazy because our fans, we have fans on that stage. You probably can't tell from the camera angle. So it gets tough down at the end of the game when they're like, jumping up on the stage and things like that, because it's right behind the basket. And our gym is on top of you. So like everybody's on top of you. So if it's only 175 people in there, they're still on top of you. And if they're loud, it feels like it's a lot more in there. So I think our gym is definitely an advantage. It's an older gym, one of the older gyms in the DMV area. And we take pride in it, and our fans get in there, and we have a late arriving crowd. Now, we've been good for the last few years now, so I think our fans kind of started to feel themselves a little bit. I try to get them to get there a little earlier.
Yeah.
But at the end of the games, it's a tough place to play, and we enjoy playing there. We enjoy playing in front of our students. It's always a great time.
It just looks like, just from a guy sitting looking at it on TV, it just looks like it'd be a really strange shooting backdrop if you weren't used to it.
Yeah, I mean, I think with it being elevated and the people behind the basket, it makes it very difficult, especially in free throw situations.
Yeah. Well, you'll take that, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Coach, you had a great team last year, but you've got a great group of seniors coming back. You got Dwayne Garner and Ethan Murphy. Just talk about your returners this year.
I love Dwayne. Dwayne is he's like the NAI Zach Randolph. Like he's 6'5", can't dunk, but he'll get up here and give you 18 and 10 tomorrow. He shoots threes, puts it on the floor, playmate. Last year we had him as like our second playmaker, ball handler. Used to use him on those Draymond Green slips when they used to double X, get him downhill. Ethan, his evolution has been a wonderful one to see. Redshirt his first year, and nobody works hard in our program than Ethan. So we're excited about him coming back. We're excited about the class we have coming in, a great class. 2 top 150 freshmen in the state of Maryland, and the DMV area is a big-time basketball area. 2 Division I drop-down posts, both 6'9", both very skilled. And then, Will Brown coming in, All-American junior college guard, shot 43% from three-point land and won his conference championship. He's a winner. And so with all these guys coming back, mixed with our sophomore class, our point guards, Freddie and Shaheem, Derek Hopkins, these guys have played a lot of games. Our freshmen, they won 20. They've won 45 games in 2 years. Been to 2 national tournaments. Like they've beaten 2 Division Is. They've played in a lot of big games. So we have a veteran group, a group that's chippy at the same time, and know they have something to prove. And we play better when we have that underdog mentality. Just our program and who we are. When we start to get a little love, and it's not just our players, it's a big time with me as well, and just learning the process of understanding how to play when you are the hunted and not the hunter. We just got to be better in that role. And I think this year, having the experience of last year's, it's going to put us forward to continue our journey in the right direction.
So you're bringing over a couple of D1 transfers. They're both big guys, I understand. Now, will they come in as juniors or seniors?
They'll both come in as juniors.
So you'll give them a couple of years.
So a couple of years. I always think, especially for our level, I feel like you have teams in 2 years. And I feel like your teams are really in pockets of this is a 2-year stint and a 2-year stint. You'll have transfers come in and you'll have 4-year guys come in and out to offset it. But the main nucleus of the team is 2 years. And usually to me, that second year is the year where you kind of really get it. That last year's team was together for 2 years. This is the first year of another 2-year run. And just in how I, put the nucleus of teams together. So, I think this team has an opportunity, just like the last ones we've had, to be a very good team. But it's going to take a whole lot of work and not a lot of talking to get that done. So,
Coach, let's talk about that for a minute. So you bring in guys that come from D1 programs, high school players coming up. You've got returners. How do you meld that together? Because you don't have very long to turn that into a team. So, what are the keys to that? It seems to me like it'd be a challenge.
It's always a challenge. I think we put you in position to get the best out of you. And trying to get the best out of you, it's not just on the basketball court. And understanding that if we can get the best out of you off the court first and then on the court second, a lot of that stuff works out because a lot of guys are behind the 8 ball before they even step on the court. If they're not in shape, if they're not mentally sharp, if they're not focused on the day and the task at hand, their talent will take a back seat to their work ethic, and then they're going to be in trouble. So it usually works itself out. An alpha male is going to be an alpha male when you put him in a room. You're going to figure out who that is. And usually, I'll tell you this, with Xavier Sewell, he came in with 4 guards, and you could have thrown them all up in the air, and I said they're all equal talent level. And he clearly outplayed everybody else his 2 years that he was there. But the thing about it was Xavier Sewell was going to the gym at 5:30 a.m.
Right.
When everybody else was sleeping until 8 a.m. So his work ethic separated him from his peers. And so it usually happens every year. I always say my favorite players are the best players. And why? Because the best players work the hardest. It's not rocket science. So we'll see whoever the hardest worker is, and I think the minutes kind of go like that. But I like it competitive. I like it. I like to get it going. Every practice to me, I like to bring the energy. I know you see me coach some. I get after it, and I get my guys energized and confident. So it's like that in practice, and that's where it starts first. And so I cannot wait.
Yep. Coach, you talk about outworking the next guy. My favorite story at the NAI level is Daryl Bowie. He was a Kansas Conference Player of the Year last year over at Ottawa. He didn't hardly get any minutes in junior college. He ended up over at Ottawa, and he took a redshirt year. And he went to the gym every morning at 5 a.m. and worked till almost noon. And he just outworked everybody else, and not only became a great player and got on the court, like I say, an All-American and a Player of the Year. So, there's a lot to be said for outworking the guy next to you.
Yeah. I mean, it's the smallest part of being great that we really just don't talk about enough. And it's just the every single day habits that put you in the position to be successful, not playing catch up, not procrastinating. And then I think the best thing about working hard and really getting after it is that you know what you're capable of, and you believe in what you can do. And belief goes a long way.
Absolutely.
And so I don't think, I'll tell you this about myself as a coach, and I might be wrong, but I do not think that there's 10 coaches in the NAI that spend more time breaking down film and working on scouts than I do. So when I go to a game, I'm fully invested in the game already and knowing what our plan is and what they're running and what we're supposed to do. Whether or not we execute to a T to get that done, it's probably going to depend on if we win or lose the game. But I have that full confidence going into the game that I know what you want to do. I know how you want to do it. So I got to make sure that I put our guys in a position to be successful. And the players actually love that. So when we have another team go, they're calling their play, and we're like, oh, it's X zipper. We know it's going to 1, back off 12. He's not going to shoot the ball. He's just a passer.
Right.
Our guys on our bench, they go crazy. Our guys in the game go crazy. Oh, you know what play it is? It's coming right now, and it's contagious environment to get you going. And it's just how we play. A lot of people don't like it, but I mean, I'm honest about how we get after it. It's just whatever gets your guys going.
Oh, I love that. Coach, we're at one division now. You guys play in the Association of Independents. I'm not sure the exact name, but the AII. Mm-hmm. Do you see, is that going to change anything at your level? Is that going to change any, with your ranking, with your conference schedule? Do you see any change with your competitive situation with one division?
No, I don't. I think, well, you see the rankings came out. We received votes. I think we're blessed to have that. I appreciate the national recognition. I think it's just going to impact everybody when we get to the national tournament because It's already going to be tough. But I think for us, we were one of the Division II teams that played a lot of Division I teams. And so I think we probably have as good of a grips as anybody in the country to know, like, for instance, in a year, I played Georgetown, who was number 1, and I played Indiana Wesleyan, who was number 1 in the same year.
Right.
Not many people did that. So I know what the top of D1 and what the top of D2 look like. And I know how close the divisions are. That's why this year is going to be crazy. And it's going to be fun because there's so many good Division II teams. And then there is so many good Division I teams and athletes that Division IIs have never seen. And then it's just going to be wild. But for us, no change. I think our schedule will be a little different this year just because we're not going to travel as much as we used to.
Right.
So try to find, a little bit of more of a local situation. But we play a lot of Division II teams because of where we are, which to me is just like playing NAI Division I teams.
Yep.
So I think that we'll be well prepared as we always are to go to battle. But I think a lot of people don't really understand how close these divisions really are.
Well, we're about ready to find out, aren't we?
Yeah.
Hey, Coach, I want to talk to you about your basketball philosophy. Why don't we start on the offensive end? So, what is your offensive philosophy? Do you like to get deep into the shot clock, or do you like a more deliberate offense? Do you want to run? You want to crash the boards? What are you trying to achieve on offense?
The only thing that we're trying to achieve every year is unselfishness. I think that's the number one thing we're trying to teach with every year. But it changes on a yearly basis. I'm a coach who changes to his personnel. I had Terrence Miami, he was 20-7. I had Brian Bridgeforth, he was 6'10". We were throwing it inside every time, trying to get him isolations. Last year with Xavier, we had him in a lot of ball screens, a lot of wing floppy down action. So I conform to my players. We run a pro offensive style system, a lot of ball screens. We do a lot of isolation if I feel like we have the advantage. But for me, from the offensive end, we do want to get up and down. The best team score the most points, so we like to get up and down. We also like to be controlled. We're not going to be a team out there shooting 45 threes, playing 7 seconds or less. This is not the personnel that we have. But offensively, we really change based upon, what we kind of like. Looking at our personnel this year, I just love the fact I have 2 big guys, and one of my big guys, he really shoots it from 3. Like, really shoots it from 3. And so I'm really going to make sure that he gets a high level of attempts, not just for him, shooting that ball, but just how it's going to establish a spacing for a whole team
absolutely.
at the 4-5 position. Just the threat of him being able to get out there. And I think that he's, if not our best shooter, our top 2 or 3 shooters, at the height of 6'9". And so, I will change a lot of things this year to dictate what he can do. We plan to use him in some mid-post action, some chin, some pick post. And so offensive philosophy is definitely pro-oriented. I would say we're a pro style.
Okay.
But unselfishness is number 1 for us, unselfishness.
What about on the defensive side? Do you play a zone? Do you look to pack the paint, stop the 3?
Yeah, we're stop the 3. I mean, if you look at our numbers, we're top 5 in 3-point field goal percentage the last 5 years, NAI Division II. We take a lot of charges and we try to get you off that line and really guard you from the 3-point line. We're scout heavy oriented. Some people you'll play that want to press and then do all this other stuff, and we're going to attack you. We're very scout oriented, so we understand what you want to do and try to make guys who don't make plays, put them in a position where they have to make plays.
Okay.
So we keep things in front of us. We grind it out. We make you make difficult shots. Nothing easy. And transition defense is good, but we like to mix it up. But we're pretty much a man team, with containment and make things difficult. Most of the guys that we get, and this is just a philosophy that we have at Washington Adventist, the best players that we have want to be pros. And they want to be a professional basketball player, whether that's NBA, G League, overseas. We've had 5 guys go overseas lately. This year, Xavier will be number 6. And in order to prepare you for that, we feel like this is the best way for us to win and prepare our players for the next level, because it's a development over time. And we just think it puts us in the best position to win as well. And so that's how we play on both sides of the ball.
So, Coach Crarey, this season, you mentioned in the national poll, you've gotten votes. You have a lot of talent coming back. You're bringing in some new talent. What are going to be the keys for the Shock to have a good season this year?
The key for everybody this year is to stay healthy. With the impact of COVID-19 and how it's sweeping the nation, if we're able to stay healthy, stay responsible, stay socially distanced in the time and discipline in our preparedness, and hopefully everybody around the country, we're praying for everybody that they're able to do that as well. I think staying healthy is key for us. I think, our battle with ourselves, what is our ego going to be when you have new guys coming in? Everybody comes in thinking they're going to beat a man instead of being the man to help somebody else. And so if we can get outside of ourselves and think about our teammates and not just ourselves, we have a lot of room to grow. As a basketball team, we will be talented. And I think when our teams, especially when this, 1 year of year 2 that I talked about early, usually we get much better as the season goes on. So I'm just looking forward to learn from my players, learn from my juniors that are now, they used to be sophomores, and see how they've grown over the summer. And then I think the big thing for everybody in the country is you're going to see who really loves basketball from a player perspective and a coach perspective. You're going to see who was putting in the work when there was nothing to do. When the pandemic hit and you couldn't get into the gym, did you go to the park? Did you run outside? Did you make excuses, or did you get the job done? We're really going to find out this year, to me personally, who really loves the game of basketball, because in these tough times for our world, it's something that, as a young people, it's one of the only things that they really have the grasp onto. So who really comes to work every day, and who was doing stuff when nobody had the cameras on? And this is the camera generation. So what were you doing when nobody was watching you, or you weren't recording yourself?
Boy, that's a great point. I've never thought about that. That's an excellent point. Coach Crarey, I really appreciate you coming on the show. I enjoy watching your teams. I You have a terrific program. You should be very proud of what you do there at Washington Adventist. And I really appreciate you being on the show.
Thank you today. Thank you for all you do for NAIA sports. I've been following, like we talked before, I've been following you for a while now, and you putting the spotlight on these coaches has helped me as well. I listen to Coach Gamblin. He's a good friend of mine, and there's so many great coaches on this level, so many great people, and I really appreciate you for putting the spotlight to help us grow our game. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Coach Crarey.